Hey guys, so chapter 7 is going to be all about working with exponents and polynomials. So what we first need to be able to do is learn the laws of exponents. So these first couple sections are going to teach us the laws of exponents, then we're going to learn some things like scientific notation and how to work with that as well. Okay, and then finally exponential functions. So to start here in 7.1, we're just going to talk about some of the laws of exponents. Right, these are the multiplication properties. The next one's going to be the division properties. But the key in this first one is that if you have two things with exponents that have the same base, notice that a and a are the same. They have to have the same exact base. They have to both be x's or both be 2's or whatever. All right, the way you combine these is you actually add the two exponents. Okay, so you'd add m plus n. So if you're multiplying two things with exponents, you add the exponents together. Okay, so you can look at their two examples, and I'll show you how to do some of these other ones. Okay, so to start with a couple of the simple ones. Right, if you've got y times y to the fifth, right, what y is the same as y to the first, so that's y to the first times y to the fifth. Okay, now first thing you need to check is, do you have the same base? Okay, both are y's, those are called the bases, right? So since they are the same, you can combine them, so it's still going to be y, and in order to combine them, you add the exponents. So 1 plus 5 is 6, so this is y to the sixth. Right, in the next one, very simple again. Right, we've got n squared times n to the seventh. Okay, same base, both are n, so you add the exponents. 2 plus 7 is 9, n to the ninth. And number 3, right, now we'll throw a coefficient in there. So if you have coefficients, if you have numbers in front of your variables, you just multiply the numbers together. Okay, so you have a negative 7 in this first one, and since the second one's blank, it's really a 1. So you multiply the negative 7 times the 1, and still get negative 7. Okay, then for the exponents, right, they both have a base of x, so you can combine them. In order to combine them, we add those two exponents together. 2 plus 4 is 6, so negative 7, x to the sixth. And number 4, right, we've got three things. All of them, again, have a base of x, so it's good we can combine all of them. That first one has an exponent of 1 because there's nothing there. So we have 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7, so x to the seventh would be how you simplify that one. And number 5, we've got m times m to the fifth, so remember that's m to the first. Both are m's. Add the exponents, m to the sixth power. And number 6, we have a negative 1 exponent in the front, or negative 1 coefficient in the front of both of those, so we have to multiply those together. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, so you don't really need to put anything there. All we do is combine our x's by adding the exponents, so we get positive 1 x to the seventh, or just x to the seventh. Number 7, now we're going to start throwing actual coefficients in there and doing some multiplying. So for this one, we need to multiply the numbers, first thing we need to do. Okay, 2 times 8 is 16, and add the exponents of the a's. 2 plus 1 is a cubed, so 16a cubed for that one. In number 8, now we're going to add, we've got two different variables in here, okay, so you can combine all the ones that are the same. Okay, so if we just look at the r's, we've got two r's. We've got 1 in the first one and 1 in the second one, so add them up, and you get r squared. Okay, for the n's, we've got 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6, so n to the sixth is how you would do that one. In number 9, okay, start with the coefficients. All right, you've got a 1 coefficient in the first one because it's blank, and a 4 in the second one. Multiply those together. 1 times 4 is 4. Then we'll combine the x's. You've got 2 and 1, so a total of 3. And for the y's, you've got 1 and 3, which is a total of 4. So 4x cubed, y to the fourth. And number 10. Number 10, we've got to work with the coefficients first. Okay, so work with the numbers first. We've got to do 1/3 times 6 is how I would start. I would skip that 2 because the 1/3 and the 6 is going to reduce to 2. Okay, 1/3 times 6 over 1 comes out to 2. And then you can just do 2 times 2 and get 4. Okay, so what I did there is 1/3 times 2 times 6, and I got 4. If you need to check that, obviously write it out on a separate sheet of paper and work through it. Okay, for the a's, I just have 3 in the first one, so I would just leave that the way it is, a to the third. And for the b's, I've got 1 in the first one and 3 in the second, so I've got b to the fourth. Number 11. Start with the coefficients. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20, and then the x's. 3 plus 7 is 10. Number 12, coefficients are negative 3 times 2, which is negative 6. The j's, I've got 2 plus 1 is 3. And the k's, I've got 4 plus 6, which is 10. These last ones, right, the most difficult, but we can definitely handle them. Okay, we've got 5 times 1/5 for the coefficients. Notice that those 5's just cancel, right, when you have 5 over 1. So it's just going to be a 1. So you don't even need to worry about writing that down because we don't need to write a coefficient of 1. Okay, for the a's, we've got a squared times a to the first, so that's going to be a to the third. For the b's, we've got 1 and 1, which is a total of 2. And for the c's, we've got 3 and 4, which is 7. So a cubed, b squared, c to the 7th. And number 14, coefficients are negative 5 times positive 4, which is negative 20. The x's are 1 plus 2, which is 3. And the y's are 1 plus 4, which is 5. And number 15, 10 times negative 2 is negative 20. The x's, 3 plus 1 is 4. The y's, 1 plus 5 is 6. And the z's, 2 plus 1 is 3. So negative 20, x to the 4th, y to the 6th, z cubed. On the second page, we've got 2 more laws that we're going to add to this. Okay, so the first of the new laws is kind of really important. It's called power to a power. Okay, so if you have something to a power and you need to raise that to another power, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the two things together. So in this case, you're going to multiply m and p. Okay, and the last one is if you have a power of a product. Okay, so if you have two things on the inside and you want to square the whole thing and they're multiplied together, you can kind of distribute that exponent to both the a and the b, is what that one says. So I'll show you how that kind of works out. All right, starting with just some power to a power problems. Okay, so we've got y to the 5th squared. Okay, so you have a power and you're raising it to a new power, so you multiply the two things together. Notice the difference, or maybe go back and look at the first page and take a look at the difference between this type of problem and the ones where you add them. Okay, there's a very distinct difference between the two. Okay, so in this case, you need to do 5 times 2 and get y to the 10th power. And number 2, again, power to a power. So 7 times 4 is 28. So n to the 28th power. Now, number 3, we've got 2 different steps here. Okay, first you have to raise all things to exponents, and then you can multiply. Because of PEMDAS, you have exponents before multiply. So I got to do the 2 times 5 first and get x to the 10th, and then multiply that times x cubed. Okay, now that is the ones that we add, like we talked about on the last page. So 10 plus 3 is 13, so this is going to be x to the 13th power. And number 4, okay, I've got that coefficient of 3 on the negative 3 on the outside, so that's good. This is that situation where you can kind of distribute your power into there because there's 2 things on the inside. Okay, so I need to remember to multiply because it's power to a power, and that a is basically an a to the first. So I've got negative 3, but I've got a to the first times 3, which is a to the third. And then for the b, I've got the b to the 4 times 3 power, which is b to the 12th power. Okay, so now we've seen all the laws in actions. Now we're going to start making it more and more difficult to work with them and just make the problems more complicated. All right, so number 5, I've got this power to a power where I'm distributing it to everything. Now we have to do negative 3 to the 3rd power. So that's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, which is negative 27. Okay, for the a's, I've got a to the 1st right now, and I need to multiply that to the 3rd power. So it's a to the 3rd power, and then b to the 12th power. Notice the similarity and the difference between number 4 and number 5. That's very important. Since that negative 3 is on the outside of the parentheses in 4, it doesn't get raised to the 3rd power. Since it is on the inside of the parentheses in number 5, it does get raised to the 3rd power. Number 6. Okay, I need to raise all of these to the 3rd power. So 4 to the 3rd power is 4 times 4, which is 16, times another 4, which is 64. Then x to the 2 times 3 power is x to the 6th. And b to the 1 times 3 power is b to the 3rd. Number 7. Okay, so I need to square everything first before I do any multiplying. Okay, so I've got 4 squared is 16, and a to the 2 times 2 power is a to the 4th. And then I need to multiply that by a b cubed. Since there's no b's in there, I can just tack it on to the end because I can't combine anything. Number 8. I need to square both the 4 and the x, so 16 x squared. And the b cubed, again, is just tacked on to the end because you can't combine with anything else. Number 9. Okay, I'm going to distribute that 5th power in there. So x to the 2 times 5 power is x to the 10th power, and y to the 4 times 5 power is y to the 20th. Number 10. Okay, here I've got a couple of steps here. I need to first work with the powers, and then I can multiply everything together. So I've got 2a cubed b squared. It's horrible handwriting. And then a b to the 6th. b to the 3 times 2 is b to the 6th. Okay, so all I can really combine here, that should be an a. All I can really combine here are those b's. Okay, so the 2a cubed is going to be by itself, and then b squared times b to the 6th, that's when you add the exponents, so b to the 2 plus 6, which is b to the 8th power. Number 11. So now we get into some harder cases where we need to cube everything, and then we're going to multiply everything together. So I need to cube this whole first thing, so the negative 4, the x, and the y. So we're going to get negative 4 to the 3rd power is negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which is negative 64. X cubed, y cubed. Both of those raised to the 1st right now, and they both need to be raised to the 3rd. Then distribute the 3 in the second one, I get negative 8. X to the 6th. Okay, then you need to multiply. Okay, I need to get a calculator. 64 times 8. Alright, comes out to 512. So negative 64 times negative 8 is positive 512. Then I can combine the x's, x to the 3rd and x to the 6th. You add the exponents to make x to the 9th, and y cubed. You leave the way it is. Okay, number 12. Okay, number 12, we have to distribute the squared first, and the cubed. So distributing the squared into the first one, distribute the cubed into the second one. Okay, so negative 3 squared, or negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Then j to the 2 times 2 power is j to the 4th, and k to the 3 times 2 power is k to the 6th. Okay, 2 to the 3rd power is 8. J to the 2 times 3 power is 6. K to the 1 times 3 power is k to the 3rd. Then I can multiply everything out. It becomes like a problem from the first page. 9 times 8 is 72. J to the 4 plus 6 power is j to the 10th power. And k to the 6 plus 3 power is k to the 9th power. Alright. And these last couple, I'll have to let you guys go ahead and finish on your own.